G'day, punters. Thanks for subscribing to the 5 for 5 podcast membership via the mailbag. Each podcast is sponsored and powered by puntingform.com.au. I couldn't bet without Punting Form. I just love it.
Welcome to the review show for Caulfield Underwood Stakes Day. I'm Drew and I'm joined by Josh. Josh, welcome.
G'day, Drew. How's things?
Pretty good. How was the day on Sunday? I wanted to say Saturday there for a moment, but long weekend.
Yeah. It's a brilliant weekend of racing. Probably a little bit depressing right now. Just it's all over and have to wait till next Saturday. Well, but yeah, it was a brilliant day on Sunday. Sun came out and, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Always good to get the guns out on a Sunday, especially when it's sunny. How about Friday night? We were obviously there at Moonee Valley, saw the grey flash not jump. I saw you do an overly ecstatic fist pump. You may have a futures bet on something that's not in the Everest yet or may now have a slot.
No, I was just happy for the horse. You know, I'm a fan of the horse, loved the grey flash and got a lot out of it, but you know, the horse is done, to be honest. So I was happy to see sort of an end to its career, and thoughts are just a bit against what they've tried to get this poor thing to do. So just happy to see it go out.
I think, you know, my tweet on the day was thanks for the memories. You know, good on you. Had a great time. You knew it was the end. I think everyone knew it was the end, and I'm glad the owners knew it was the end. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, it's had its time, and I think it's ready to hang up its boots.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Moonee Valley, there are a few horses going around there. The Taj Mahal, prime example, Gaelic Chieftain, who's run a blinder. Vedora's obviously one. I think Brave Smash is looking good going towards an Everest. Any horses that really stood out? Old mate Merrill, perhaps?
Yeah, Merrill was a great run. Was happy to be on it. Had that nice form from the Ragged Rascal open class race, then dropped back to the mares and the fillies, and just really ran well. Otherwise, probably, you know, Brave Smash was huge, and I thought I think Dicko actually didn't mark it too well from the yard. I thought it looked pretty horrendous myself, but it's come back pretty well. But it's amazing just this weekend with Tosin Basil and Brave Smash how quick the turnarounds have come for Weir.
He's just flying, isn't he, now?
Yeah, on Sunday he just couldn't miss.
So let's just assume Vedora gets a slot in the Everest now with the Invincible Star and even what's the other one? English. Now both unlikely, or Invincible Star is very unlikely, being lame 3 out of 5. English put up 1 out of 5 lame from the trial today. Vedora probably gets a slot now. Who do you want to be on, Vedora or Brave Smash going forward?
Probably Vedora. I think Brave Smash needs further. I think I saw some tweets out there, and I think I agree with them that Brave Smash is still maybe possibly better over the mile, but Weary seems to think it's better over sort of the shorter distances, but who knows, honestly. It's a tough race, and obviously with Santa Ana Lane's brilliant run on Saturday, it's shaping up to be a good one. Felt Redzel was, you know, not suited by that headwind in the straight Randwick.
Just a figure run, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, who knows? Maybe these horses have peaked too soon. Who knows with Brave Smash if it's peaked on Friday night. That'll be an interesting race to see. See what they shape up with the mark and who gets the last spots.
Yeah, well, let's just hope Graf gets the win at 51s for those who are smart enough to get on Friday night.
Are you concerned at all about the future of Jungle Cat with this quarantine, or is it an overreaction?
I wouldn't be backing the Turak if that's what you're asking me, because if the government are fair dinkum about these rules, Jungle Cat won't be able to run in the Turak because of the quarantined horses potentially, you know, having to go into quarantine, you know, to Werribee early.
Yeah, it's a bit of a concerning one. But yeah, we'll see how it plans out. Should we get into Caulfield?
Yeah, let's go straight into it. What would you quickly say track play on the weekend? How do you think it played, and did wind play any factors for you?
So on Sunday, track was, fairly even. The rail was in true position. I actually thought the rail was pretty off. And that's about it. But it was pretty fair in terms of things could run on, and there was a few quickly run races that set up a lot of back markers, and then a few things at the front, like Native Soldier, just battled on there. We're in the right position in the run, and it was a run to suit for it. What about your thoughts for the track play?
Well, looking at the puntingform.com.au data, it exactly backs up what you've said there. I think there wasn't really any bias on the day. It was more to do with how fast or how slow they ran during the race. I mean, prime example, we'll get to the Underwood later, but, Blair House and Humidor were just, they were in impossible spots to actually win. They were never going to be able to run down Homesman and out the front. So, prime example, those races, Native Soldier, the same exact example.
Yeah, spot on. And Native Soldier sort of just got the cheap sectionals out front with no one battling the lead on it. And I thought, just seeing it in the run, I thought it was just going to hold on from there. I liked it originally, and when they pushed forward on it, definitely thought it was a huge chance, and it just showed that. But the Homesman race as well, it was tough to run down. It likes that solid run pace. Bit of a change of tactics on grunt, maybe by the stable to see it roll and lead. Maybe just because Price didn't think it was suited for the Caulfield track, so he thought he'd change something up. But interesting, and we're seeing that it might be also backing up this week in the Turnbull.
Well, if we're getting double-figure odds in the Turnbull, I'd be backing it. I think we'll get to the data on it, but the punting form data shows clearly that what the narrative that's being said about the horse not handling Caulfield, in my opinion, is incorrect. Interesting stuff.
Shall we look on to race 1?
Yeah, 1,400 metres, BM 78. A fast run race to start the day, according to the puntingform.com.au data. A Claire Callings has sat off them. It's gone 2.5 lengths faster than the class benchmark to record the win here. So it was a very classy win in terms of this grade. It's not a surprise when you actually see a Claire Calling in a BM 78. It's a good horse, and it was just well rated.
Yeah, I thought that too. For the low class of race it was actually well run. They flew out front. I thought Wayanka was very brave to hold on to how it did. I'd be following that. However, I've seen it's been up for a while. May need the paddock right now. But we'll see where they go with that. Holbein was full of excuses when I was ridden 3 wide. And that was about it for the ones that I was just looking at in the race.
Just a quick one on Holbein, or Heltline, however we say it. My opinion on it, I reckon, is even if it was, sitting one back, one out, it probably still doesn't win, right? Like, based on what it's done there, it's really knocked up for a race where, look, the tempo's been okay, but it hasn't been brutal.
Yeah, it hasn't been brutal pace, you're right. But I'm not sure about its previous runs, but has it been able to handle a pace sort of in the past? That's what I really look to, and it has previously. So what sort of changed there?
Well, I'm just maybe thinking it could be over the top. I mean, Dicko's marked it clearly on top from the yard, so it may just be coming to the end of its prep.
Yep. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, but thankfully he had a Claire Calling second, and it was also in the numbers, so we got away with a win.
Yeah, it was a great ride by Caserta as well. Back from his suspension, he's been riding well with a couple of wins in town.
A little hungry for money, I imagine.
Exactly.
Let's move on to race 2, 1,400 metres, open class. Aussie's Choice was backed here as if unbeatable. Like, it was 14s into 750. Looking at this punting form data, it actually hasn't gone fast overall. It's been a fairly even tempo, slightly faster than even tempo early, yet it's kicked a couple lengths clear of them, and it's just found absolutely nothing. Like, if this horse has run to the way it was backed, it probably wins by 3 lengths. Like, they shouldn't have been able to run it down. So there may be an issue with the horse is what I would say. And you look at the finish of this race, and you're not surprised that it's rated 1.5 lengths slower than class benchmark overall, with Cliff's Edge just getting there, I think class has prevailed with Cliff's Edge. It's not, the way the race is run that's helped it. I think it's just the better horse of the ones who have been in the finish.
Yeah, it was an interesting race with some comments being thrown that Aussie Choice was a pacemaker, but I just think it just got out to, ping the lids, and they've got the tactics right on it again, which it likes to get out and run, which it did at Flemington in its early in the winter, and it won. And just needs the paddock right now. I always thought it was going to bounce back, but clearly it just needs a bit of a spell. They did put the barrier blanket on it, I'm seeing from the punting form data. That did the job to get it sort of jumping well. I thought Saccone hung on well, but yeah, if you don't think it's not overly run fast. So, but I thought it was a brave run for Saccone. It was also a great ride from our mate the King on Cliffs. Interesting, he got the ride there, and one to follow is probably Taking in Turn, who finished off well when just given no chance too far back in the run. But yeah, that's the one I really liked out of the race. That Taken in Turn is probably going to be shaping up to its English numbers in the near future.
Yeah, it looks a good horse going forward, and probably up to the 1,600 metres next start, well suited. Could see it in the Toorak, I reckon, along with obviously Cliff's Edge. And interesting to note, Ethan Brown dropped his whip about 200 metres or 100 metres from the line, so it kind of gives a bit more, credit to the win of Cliff's Edge, I imagine.
Yep. The horse just likes to run, and I think it does really like the Caulfield trip. Anyway, on to race 3.
Yeah, race 3, 2,000 metres, English restricted race, a fast tempo out front set by Ayers Rock and Barry the Baptist. They really ensured a truly run race. You look at it and you go, there's no surprise that none of the horses, were faster than benchmark home. And there is actually no surprise when you look at the run that Prized Icon got, that it was been 1.9 lengths. It was a really good run, considering what it had to do. And I would say there's no surprise that Bondiga won. Dicko's thoughts from the yard were that the horse was, probably the best he's actually seen it. Now, it is a bit of a cat, but in this type of race, there's no surprise it won.
Yeah, got the pace it sort of needed, similar to that win back on Australia Day this year at the Valley, where it had that sort of faster tempo up front and ran on well. And it's one to always, the company that was in wasn't overly great here, with a few coming from the country. And Prize Icon, what was your thoughts on Ollie's ride on Prize Icon?
Oh, it wasn't the best, but look, I kind of wanted to see that because I was against it. So I was kind of happy that he did that. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think he just got into it. You don't see him panic too often, but Ollie just got into a position where he probably panicked a bit there and got stuck facing the breeze. And, sometimes these things happen. They're not machines on the horses. So these things happen to the best jockeys. But yeah, Octobello was mine that I thought Callow tried to be a bit smart on it, a bit pretty. He placed it well back in the run on the fence and tried to sneak a run up the fence when I thought really the fence wasn't on. It really hit the line well. Thought it would be winning this race personally. Also liked how Barry the Baptist Crafty Devil hit the line. Really finished off well when it was given none as well. If that drops back, especially to Mayor's Company, it'll be probably winning, if not just dropping back to a benchmark 80 in sort of the country or even metro level. I think it can win.
Yeah, could see it at Bendigo or Ballarat in the next 2 weeks, I imagine, on a Wednesday.
Hopefully Weary backs it up maybe, and we'll be launching into that one.
Excellent. Let's move on to race 4, 1,100 metres, BM90. Now, yes, I'm spruiking our Mounting Yard mail service, but I think this is exactly the race where you use it. So Dicko's best bet on the card was Miss Leonidas, and the data here just backs up everything that he said from the yard. So I've looked at the data and I've looked at it twice, and this is a slowly run race. Miss Leonidas has had a cakewalk, had the best opportunity to absolutely just put him away here. and has produced a figure close to 2 to 3 lengths slower than we know the horse can produce on previous punting form data. And when you got the message from Dicko, he was trying to tell you exactly, if you've especially listened to the podcasts, he was super keen on the horse and he's seen it in the yard and it's just absolutely fizzed up. It's gone. It's not going to win. And it's performed accordingly. On the other side of things, there are two horses I just quickly want to note on. Grey Shadow was probably the biggest goal of the day, 21s into 7s. I must have missed a change of tactics on it to sit, third in the run, but whatever. It did sit 5 out of 10 last start, but 3 out of 16, I'd call that a change of tactics. And as soon as it sat there, it was never losing. In regards to the best 1,000, 800, 600, 400 and 200 of the day, Split Lip, who was aggressively snicked from a wide barrier, sat 2 lengths last, and it's actually run 14th, but, recorded some pretty good figures overall that may be worth following. How do you see the race?
Yeah, it was a great push on Split Lip there. I saw the data on puntingform.com.au, and that's really what you see there. You can do a lot of video comments and all, but Split Lip is a perfect example of matching the data up there. It's actually had a trainer change I've just seen, and it's just changed from the Will Clarkin stable over in South Australia. Now Weir's taken over, so that'll be interesting to see where that goes next. I thought the interesting thing was Grey Shadow was 3 wide. I just want to emphasise that the 1,100 metres being 3 wide is actually not like a negative in this. So they probably know that these jockeys going out there and they don't mind getting stuck 3 wide coming out of the chute. I thought Fragonard was very good when it was settled. Probably didn't have all that much of a chance in the run. But yeah, there's nothing huge coming out of this race, and clearly the money talked in it.
Money told the story here straight away.
Spot on.
Race 5, 1,200 metres, listed grade, very slowly run race, first 600 metres according to the punting form data. It was set up for sit sprinters, and the best one just happened to be Trekking, who got a little bit of interference to get out, but when it got there, it just kind of put the field away. I imagine the in-play backers went pretty hard on Kimono when it looked like it was the winner probably coming past the 200 storming home, but it couldn't run down Trekking off those sectionals needed. And Heart of the Lion, who was close to near top of the yard for Dicko last week, and it's backed up off 7 days. It's absolutely stormed home for third. I'm amazed by the figures it's produced, and it's really one we can follow forward, in city grade. Now, there is one, I reckon, hidden bad run, and I think it's Booker. So if you watch the first 200 metres of the race and the amount of work they've had to do to get Booker up to the position it's held, it was never winning, especially when you go look at the sectionals it's run. You're just never running those sectionals from, where it was at the 1,100 to the 1,000 and 900 and winning a race. It was just cooked early, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting to see how Booker returned. I think, if you can confirm, it came back. Was it a throat op that it just came off?
I believe so, but I'll have a quick look. It should be on the data.
Yeah. So, returned from that. I thought it was a solid chance, but drifted late in the market. Not a lot of market support for it. But yeah, like you said, Heart of the Lion, a huge run, just flew from the back. That'll be looking good to go 4th up next. Not sure it gets sort of this listed company. It has won one, I've noticed, at Oak Bank in a listed, but that's much less of a class than here in Metro Victoria, so it might need to drop down a little bit. Kimono probably not overly. It wasn't the best run. Got stuck a bit wide, I think, in the run from memory. And Trekking just busted its way out. I thought Brave Song was my one to go forward from this. Thought it was a really good run after it copped a couple of checks in the run. Be interesting to see sort of where they head, if it goes up to 1,400 next or it stays at the 1,200. But that was one for me, and it had fairly handy form lines against Osborne Bulls and Voodoo Lad. Has raced against Kementari last prep. So that would be one to follow for me out of that race.
Perfect. Onto the Caulfield Guineas Prelude, Group 3, 1,400 metres, race 6. As we said earlier, a real stroll in the park for Native Soldier out the front. Only had to go 2 lengths slower than class benchmark early, which you describe it as an even to slow tempo. And once that's happened, the horse has done no work. It's strolling along. It looks like for about, 20 metres that, is it Tavisun that was, Tavisun that was sitting outside of it. Kind of looked like Tavisun was going the better. And then the horses said, nah, I'm much better than you, and just put them away in probably, 100 metres, and it was never getting run down. The horses that I think you can probably forgive that have come home really strongly and paraded quite well, Longleaf, Good and Fast, and Ragged Rascal. I think we can respect all 3 of those going forward.
Yeah, I think Longleaf was probably one of the run of the race, sitting back, sort of 4 back in the run, and really ran on well, hit the line well, and what was a slower run race. Going forward, they didn't run time, so it's hard to assess. But Native Soldier just got that run and that it needed, the slow run, and yeah, I thought the same watching in play. And Tavisun loomed up, but I think Native Soldier just saved that energy in the run, and just got the run of the race. Personally, I've always been looking at the August, how it's been running. For me, it was okay. Good and Fast, I was expecting to perform a little better. It's probably not suited in the run, settling well back. And the unluckiest horse of them all, Fighting Harada, just was pretty poor at the big odds there.
Can we put that horse down as just being constantly unlucky and just a horse you can't back?
Yeah, unless it drops severely in grade. So,
and has to only have a match race with one other horse, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
On to race 7, 1,400 metres, Group 2, 1,000 Guineas Prelude. According to the data, these horses are pretty good types. So Spanish Whispers led them around at an even tempo. Looked to be travelling well at the turn. I thought it looked to be going probably as good as Sweet Melody, and then it's absolutely found nothing. Sweet Melody's come home and recorded a time 3.4 lengths faster than class benchmark. So this is a really, smart race. I tell you what, you have to respect the tough run of Thrillster. It's still come home, even off a tough run. It tells you that it'll get the 1,600 next start. I'd almost want to be on it over Smart Melody next start. What do you think of it?
100% the same there, Drew. I thought the same. I thought Smart Melody was really fading at the end, so if it'll get the mile, who knows? I wouldn't be taking it the odds that it's at now. I thought Thrillster was the one. Especially it was stuck pretty wide in that turn, I think, from memory. And it's run. It's almost got Smart Melody after it's sort of they haven't run quick, and Smart Melody was just up on the speed, which was sort of just the place to be all day. I thought Kafila, is it?
Yeah, Kafila, yep.
Out of the Hayes stable. I thought that ran really well with the blinkers back on. Hit the line, probably one to just sort of watch where it's going after this. I don't know. Is there a Guinness plan for that?
I would imagine with these types, they always push on. I would say Quafilla and even Aristia both recorded pretty strong late final 600 numbers. Yep.
Yeah, Aristia too. So yeah, they're just interesting ones. Obviously, probably not up to that 1,000 Guineas sort of class, but just to keep in mind in the future.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the race of the day, the Group 1 Underwood. Homesman's led them around with Grunt out the front. And look, they've gone 1.3 lengths slower than class benchmark early here. And there's only been an even tempo late in the piece to get the win for Homesman. So just as a comparison for Grunt, the previous start, has gone 6 lengths faster the first 600 metres when it wasn't leading. So essentially, this is a completely different race tempo to what it won at Flemington with. So while people may be saying, oh, this isn't a Caulfield horse, and okay, it may not be a Caulfield horse, I don't think we've got the evidence to know that, because it's coming off a really fast run that it was absolutely suited to, and you expected it to be suited to when you looked at its profile and data, and it's gone to a race that's been run below benchmark, and it was never going to win.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Drew. I was sort of predicted not an overly fastly run race here with, it took the lead. I can't remember what I had mapped sort of leading, but there was no, real natural sort of leaders in this race to inject speed into the race that it needed. So yeah, I completely agree with you that it's hard to say that Grunt isn't a Caulfield horse. Be interesting to see if they do go through with the plan with Grunt backing up this week, back to its supposedly favourite track. Run of the race here was obviously Tosin Basil. Came back to its Japanese numbers for my liking, and it's definitely on track, I think, for the Caulfield Cup. I think it would be the better option. A lot of people talking about the Melbourne Cup, but I think it's proven to stay the 2400 back in its Japan runs. Look, Humidor bounced back, I thought, was given none sort of in the run, and your runner Drew Blair House was absolutely given none.
Yeah, look, I'll have a quick word on J-Mac's ride there. He's gone back to the rail for no apparent reason, when I agree with you, it wasn't the spot you want to be trying to make ground. So he's given it none there. He's given it none out of the barriers when it's been slightly slow. You can push it up and try and gain a spot or two, J-Mac. It was no chance from where it was in the run, and you gave it even more no chance when not taking the similar run of Humidor. It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it was tough watch for when I went back and watched the run of it. But it had a good first up run. Where's next, do you think, for Blair House?
Honestly, I'm actually not sure. I would be expecting that they probably don't want to go too much more up in distance. They may try and actually aim this horse similar to where Ben Battle's going, which is the Cox Plate, because they've got form around each other, and it doesn't look like we'll have an overly strong Cox Plate field this year, so it should get a run.
Yeah.
I actually haven't had a look at the nominations to see if Blair House is in there, but I would assume that they've nominated the horse for the Cox Plate.
Yeah, I've noticed there's been a severe dropout in the markets of international, so they've nailed down a few. So just looking ahead, it's in the Toorak Handicap, Caulfield Stakes, Cox Plate, Cantala Stakes, and Emirates. So maybe Emirates might be one for it to sort of head for later in the prep.
You'd expect them to go Cox Plate Emirates then.
Spot on.
Just a quick one on the betting drifts and everything. Humidor lost an absolute leg in the betting. It was just laid and laid and laid. While there was a bit of a spec for Tosin Basil. When, Dicko was sending his info out, I was watching it. They backed it about 75s into 50s, but it actually ended up jumping at 140s on Betfair.
Wow, incredible. So just shows you the smarts, the stable. Didn't expect it to perform that well, but it's run a blinder, and like I said, just run back to its Japanese numbers, and I think it's ready to run, and win one of these Group 1s given the right race.
Well, let's move on to the final race of the day. Not much to talk about here apart from probably the first two home, but you may find something else. Zar Speed ensured a fast tempo early. Furon's recorded a pretty good time of 2.3 lengths faster than class benchmark on the punting form data. Look, Best of Days has probably cost itself the race in the final, 100 metres. It's been 2 or 3 off the rail, and it's just laid in when J-Mac's given it 3 whips in a row, and he's had to try and ride it out hand and heels the final, 50 metres, and he's even kind of stopped riding at the final 5 metres, which he got a fine for, and we've actually got a viewer question on that later to discuss it.
Yeah, it's tough one going forward. Furion was just it actually got a beautiful run. I thought Jai put it in the right position, pushed it forward a bit, and really just worked out the tempo from there, made the move at the right time. Best of Days was the one to watch for me going into the race. Obviously did a little bit wrong in the straight, and then J-Mac sort of pulls off at the last 50. I thought it was pretty tough to find anything else out of there. Interesting Sully's change of tactics, and they didn't roll forward with it in the end, which is one of my favourites going forward. Been waiting for it for a while. Life Less Ordinary, probably not overly suited in the run, and made a good dash home of the rest of the pack, but that's about it for the day.
Yeah, you'd probably say there's some fairly second raters in this race, and a few that are probably wanting further, like the likes of Sully.
Interesting with Interlocutor, or however you say it.
Interlocker, I think.
Yeah, well, I thought that was going to be... I'd seen some of its Sydney runs and thought it was going to be something special, but sort of come to Melbourne and hasn't really performed.
It did over-race quite heavily in the race, so I'm not sure I'll be fully sacking it yet, but there was enough tempo on that it shouldn't have been pulling the way it was, so there is a bit of concern about it.
Yeah, maybe if they can change something, put a noseband on, and might return in the peak of spring.
Excellent. So we've got 2 viewer questions just before we finish off. I'll let you answer them first as well. So first one's from Jay Dickens. Don't know that bloke. I'm very surprised James McDonald was fined $300 for failing to ride out Best of Days in the last when the horse was clearly laying in. What's your guys' opinion on the fine, and especially with the horse laying in? What do you think he should have done better there?
It's hard to tell, really. That I think it's a pretty stiff fine, to be honest. But I admit, like he's stopped riding it, 50 up from the line. Whether or not it's cost this race, I know they're the rules here. They're different in the UK. You don't have to ride your horse out to the line. But yeah, it's done a lot wrong in the straight, and he's just tried to correct it. And maybe he just stopped riding it because maybe he thought it was going interfering at the end. It was just a safety thing. But yeah, I think it's a bit stiff, the fine.
Yeah, I have a different view to Jay Dickens on this one a little bit, in terms of I looked at Stewart's vision and stuff. I thought he probably could have pushed it out to the line, but I can also understand the safety aspect that if James McDonald thought that if he did that, it may lay in and could potentially put, both of their horses through the rail in some factor. He has that responsibility, a duty of care, to stop riding the horse. So I think fining him $300 isn't the right thing. You're saying, actually, we're not sure you deserved a suspension, so they're not saying he's actually done something particularly wrong. But they're also not saying that you should take safety precautions there and not find him either. So
I don't know if they've just got some biases against him from previous incidents he's been in over the last few years. But it seems very harsh, and he's just done the right thing for the horse and Fury in there as well.
Yeah, I think no matter what I think about Jay McDonald and his rides on the day, I was a bit critical that he didn't ride that out initially when I saw him not ride it out straight after the race. But when you see that the horse was laying in, you can understand it.
Yeah, spot on.
And the second question, this one's a bit out there, so sorry if people take any offence to what the person's written, but I doubt. This is from Andrew Casey. Have you blokes seen the new tab ad for the Everest with the 12 Sheilas at Bondi dancing around like Muppets holding blocks with the dates of the event? What do you guys think?
Yeah, you've just briefed me on this before we've recorded this tonight, and I'm astonished that they've done this. They've honestly got too much money or something. But
is this 1980? Are we back to 1980?
Like, the marketing is just appalling. Like, I just can't see what that's doing for it. And yeah, whoever's put the marketing in that is just horrific. I don't know. Bizarre. What are your thoughts, Drew?
I think we should bring back the bloke who did the original marketing with the guy climbing Everest from The Price Is Right. It looked like. Remember that one?
Yeah, that was a better start.
It looked horrible. It got us talking about it. Look, I suppose we're still talking about it now because of how strange and out of touch the ad is. So I guess they're getting what they want. But geez, I'm not sure that's the type of message you're trying to send out there.
Might be one to send off to the good show on ABC called The Gruen Transfer. It might be, it's got us talking, so, that could be the good thing about it. But anyway, bizarre.
So in terms of that meeting going forward and even the Friday meeting, do you think there's going to be a lot we can find from that in terms of feature races? What do you think the level was over the weekend, I guess is what I'm trying to say?
Well, it's tough to gauge through. I thought that Group 1 was not overly well run. Homesman, obviously, the Lloyd camp is just peaking at the right time. They're coming into form. Taj was a great run, I think. It's probably, you can be pretty confident with that going forward, because I thought Mellon got it stuck 3 wide in the run, and he just went at the right time on it, especially for the Valley. Got to be up on speed, and he sort of just pushed it forward and got it out there. Just want to comment. How was Terry Bailey's call on so confident that it had got home, and Gaelic Chieftain almost came over the top and pipped him?
I have to say I did get my money out at $1 in play, so I was kind of okay with him going a bit confident because I was not confident at all.
Yeah, Terry Bailey the confidence in that was amazing. I want to praise him for that call. But yeah, we love Terry. But yeah, in terms of sort of the quality of racing, I didn't think it was that great going forward. Sydney obviously on Saturday was a blinder. You might be able to, I'd be leaning to some of those runs more so than any of the Melbourne runs. But like 1,000 Guineas wise, I thought Thrillster was a brilliant run. And it was ready to win, like 1 away or something like that. So it could be, I think the better bet going forward into the 1,000 Guineas.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, Josh, filling in for the great Jay Dickens. I think you've filled his role quite well.
Thanks, Drew. It's been a pleasure, and can't wait for Turnbull Saturday.
Looking forward to it, and I'll see you there. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Drew.
When I want to enjoy some of Australia's finest craft beers, there's only one place I want to be. That's the Mountain Goat. I'm a summer ale man. Those orange tins still see me through. I love them.
The Mountain Goat. It's the grouse.